Every year, there are more and more people being diagnosed with diabetes. Diabetes is a disease that can have serious complications. However, these complications don't have to occur if we have good control of it. For that reason, it is very important to learn what it means to have diabetes as well as what we can do in order to control it. As you know, my name is Dr. Esther Quintero, and I'm here to talk to you about diabetes.
In this video, we will learn about what is diabetes, the body's normal function, as well as what happens when the body does not function normally. We will also talk about what you can do to treat diabetes. So let's start with what is diabetes? Your body normally breaks down some food into sugar to use as energy for your body cells. Normally, when you eat sugars, they go through digestion, then they go through your blood vessels, and from there, a hormone called insulin transports them to your cells to provide them with energy so that they can work. In the same way in which a bus, which would be the insulin, would transport workers, which would be the glucose or sugar, to their offices or companies to work, which would represent the cells. Diabetes is when you have too much sugar in your blood. The reason why you have too much sugar in your blood is because your body is either not making enough insulin or this hormone is not working the way it's supposed to. This results in too much sugar in your blood, which is what we often call high blood sugar. The same way that if buses were broken or if there were fewer buses available, people would not be able to get to work and their companies would not function. If the sugar stays in the blood, not only does this mean that your cells don't get the energy to work properly, but also when your blood sugar is high, it damages the blood vessel which carry blood to your whole body. Damaged blood vessels cause multiple areas of your body to stop working normally. These include the brain, the heart, blood vessels, the eyes, kidneys, and nerves, as you can see here. Diabetes can cause problems which we call complications in multiple areas of the body, but it does not have to do it if it is well controlled and can be prevented. So what can you do to treat diabetes? Diabetes can be controlled by how much and what type of food you eat, as well as how active you are, and if needed, with diabetes medications. In this presentation, we will focus on nutrition and how the food we choose can help us lower our blood sugar. Let's talk about what our plate should look like. You can draw a line straight down and one across. The largest section should be filled with non-starchy vegetables. One of the smaller sections should be filled with starchy vegetables, and the other small section with protein. And you can also add a low sugar drink like water or an unsweetened flavored drink. Let's start by talking about the small sections of the plate. First, let's talk about protein. Our body uses for energy. These provide more prolonged energy and include foods like chicken, fish, meat, and eggs. Next are starchy foods, which contain a lot of carbohydrates, sugars, or glucose, which means the same and are used interchangeably. Carbohydrates provide fast energy. These foods do not always taste sweet. Some examples include rice, bread, pasta, potatoes, tortillas. Now let's talk about non-starchy foods or vegetables, which are those that are low in carbohydrates or sugars. These include colorful vegetables like kale, green beans, lettuce, broccoli, tomatoes, eggplants, bell peppers, as you can see here. When we have type 2 diabetes, the goal is to decrease the amount of sugar in the blood. One way in which we can do this is to decrease the amount of sugar we eat so that our body does not have to work extra hard to try to get the sugar from the blood to the cells. For this reason, eating more non-starchy vegetables in every meal and less of the starchy vegetables or the sugar-rich foods is recommended. In order for us to be more aware of how many carbohydrates or sugars we are eating daily, we need to learn how to read food labels. Most foods have them on the back of the packaging. Here we have one labeled for potato casserole. First, look at the serving size and how many servings per container each food has. Then, look at the total carbohydrate content as well as the total sugar content. It is also important to notice the fiber content because this will be a good kind of carbohydrate. So how many carbohydrates should we be eating? There's no one recommendation that is the same for everyone since we are all unique and we all need a different amount of carbohydrates a day depending on our activity level. However, as a rule of thumb, we can say that we should aim for 30 to 60 carbohydrates per meal. Today, we discussed what is diabetes and what we can do at home to control diabetes. Diabetes is when there is too much sugar in the blood. And what we can do at home to control diabetes is to have a low sugar diet, exercise regularly, and take diabetes medications if needed. Some tips for success in this journey include planning your meals ahead of time. Avoid buying things that you are trying to reduce in your diet, such as soda. Choose foods higher in fiber. Make changes as a family and be patient with yourself. This is a lifestyle change and it can take some time. The first step is to practice counting carbohydrates and sugars in your meals. If we look at the Big Mac meal, we see that the Big Mac has 46 grams of sugar. If we add a medium fries, we add 43 grams of carbohydrates to our meal. A meal usually comes with the drinks, so we can add another 59 grams of carbohydrates for this drink. This is equal to a total of 148 carbohydrates in one meal. If we look at this other meal, which includes steak, rice, and vegetables, we see that the steak contains 0 sugars or carbohydrates. The rice contains 44.5 grams per 1 cup. And if we look at the vegetables, broccoli contains 6 grams, but we have to subtract 2 grams, which are from fibers, which do not raise blood glucose and equals to 4 grams. Tomato contains 5 grams of sugar minus 1 of fiber, and that equals to 4 grams of carbohydrates. And lastly, carrots contain 7 grams of carbohydrates minus 2 grams of fiber, and this equals to 5 grams of carbohydrates. Along with a glass of water, this meal contains 57.5 grams of carbohydrates and meets the less than 60 grams carbohydrates per meal rule. Now we can compare this meal to that of a Big Mac and see a big difference. It is important to know that these foods contain other nutrients like proteins and fats, which are also very important. However, here we have focused only on carbohydrates since this is what will affect glucose the most. Now it's time to try it yourself in your next meal. Good luck!